Alan West he was a lieutenant commander with the 4th Infantry Division in Iraq. Served our nation through the military for 27 years, was it?
22.
22, sorry. Gave you 5 extra. But, the thing that Alan, I think speaks the most highly about him, he is a leader's leader. Our present chairman is a dud. We've got to get rid of him. I present to you Alan West, our next state chairman.
And before I get started, soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marine, Coast Guardsmen that are here tonight, first responders, please stand so that we can recognize you. And I don't care what country you're in, please stand if you've ever served. It's good to be back down here in McClellan. I think I'll be back down here Friday for the Texas State Rifle Association annual meeting, and I'll be speaking at their luncheon there because right now our Second Amendment is a very important right that we must protect, we must defend. All you have to do is look and see what's going on in Virginia to understand how important that is. But tonight what I want to do is kind of take maybe 20, 25 minutes, set the stage of where I see Texas and of course the national stage. But I'd like for this to be more like a town hall. And, I'm here to answer your questions. I'm sure there are a lot of things going through folks' mind, and, I think it's important that I present. But I'm sure there's a lot of things on your mind. And, back when I was somebody, I could have dropped you from push-ups, right? But when you think about where Texas is, we started early voting last week. We are in this election cycle. And this election cycle, you hear so many times, this is the most important election cycle in lifetime. This is the most important election cycle in lifetime. This really is the most important election cycle in the lifetime of this constitutional republic, the longest running constitutional republic that the world has ever known, these great United States of America. And when you think about where we are, Marco Rubio moment. When you think about where we are, it is all about the relationship between the individual citizen and the institution of government. When our founding fathers created this incredible land, this incredible nation, what they thought was that the individual, their rights, their freedoms, their liberties were supreme and sovereign over the institution of government. But if you're paying attention, I know that some of y'all say, man, I can't look at those debates over on, MSNBC or CNN. You gotta watch these debates. Just get you a bottle of Pepto-Bismol and just keep, chuckling. But you've got to watch because, those of us that have read Sun Tzu, if you don't understand your opposition, if you don't understand your adversary, if you don't understand your enemy's perspective, their goals and objectives, how they think, you're not going to be successful. That's why I always ask people, have you read Saul Alinsky's Rules for Radicals? Have you ever read the Communist Manifesto by Karl Marx? You've got to understand how they think. They don't see you as an individual. They see you as part of a collective that has to be pitted against each other. And eventually, they turn you from being a citizen into a subject. That's really what socialism as an economic model is all about. It leads to a societal model, which is called communism. But the first thing, you have to control the means of economic production. You have to redistribute the wealth. You have to make people dependent upon the government because then they become the subjects. You have to have this sense of belief that everyone is equal, this social egalitarianism. And you also have to have this secular humanism, which says that the Creator God is not smart enough to give you your inalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Man does. If you listen to the other side, God couldn't get the weather right. Seriously, this is why you have to listen to him. You listen to the other side, God couldn't get 2 genders right. He couldn't. It's 64. You can choose whatever you want. But see, what's the whole purpose of that is to undermine the omniscience, the omnipotence, that belief that that is a supreme individual that gave you those rights. And when you remove him from the marketplace, then you replace him with man. And then man says that I'm the one that gives and takes away your rights. Jimmy Carter, everyone has a right to own a home. Healthcare is a right. Going to college is a right. But all of those things are just part of their ideological agenda. And when you look at this season that we're in, now that we started early voting, we're on an ideological battlefield. And on this ideological battlefield, it's winner take all. If there is one thing that I can appreciate about the progressive socialist left, they are relentless. They believe in something that has never worked anywhere in the history of man. But they still believe in it, and they will still fight you to the absolute death about it. I mean, you just saw the recent interview with Bernie Sanders when Anderson Cooper asked him about how you're going to pay for all this Medicare for everything. He said, I don't sit around and count all the nickels and dimes. So in other words, the details are not important. It's all about one thing. It's all about the control.
That's right.
We got a gentleman here from Colombia. He knows exactly what's going on down in the neighboring country called Venezuela. A decade ago, folks, 10 years ago, one of the most prosperous nations in this Western Hemisphere was Venezuela, a country that has more oil reserves than Saudi Arabia. Look what happens in 10 short years. Hugo Chavez came to power. First thing Hugo Chavez did, ban private gun ownership. What do you see they're looking at in Virginia with Governor Northam? Ban private gun ownership. What do you see they're talking about here? Last week, Wednesday. And this is how important Texas is. Last week, Wednesday, Michael Bloomberg, his Everytown for Gun Safety organization, announced that they're going to spend $8 million in the state of Texas to replicate exactly what they did in Virginia. They're going to focus on two places. They're going to focus on Dallas and they're going to focus on Houston. Because they know that we are 9 seats away from the Texas State House being flipped. And they believe that they can get those 9 seats by focusing on those 2 areas. That's their plan. And if they get the Texas State House, understand this, Texas is picking up 3 new congressional districts. 2018, Texas gained 567,000 in new population. 2019, California lost 200,000. California, for the first time ever, is losing a congressional district. Where do you think those 3 new congressional districts are going to end up going?
Waco.
It ain't going to come to McLennan County. But I guarantee it's going to be on that side of I-35, and probably on the other side down there, I-45. What we have to do is realize this in Texas. This I-35 corridor, that's your major population center for the state of Texas. That's the spine for the state of Texas. And when you look and see all of these businesses and corporations that are moving into the state of Texas, they're mainly focusing along this I-35 corridor, from Denton County all the way down to San Antonio and Bexar County. But think about who is controlling all those major population centers. That's the blueprint of the left. See, we've been sitting around, kind of been in a stupor, and we're wondering how is it that all of these successful red states with all of these great economic policies, regulatory policies, you see all of the opportunities, you see all of these corporate business headquarters moving here. 10% of Fortune 500 corporations are in the great state of Texas. But someone is not talking to the employees that they're bringing along. The young man right here just moved from California. He made the decision on his own to get out of California. There are a lot of great people that are making that decision on their own from California, Illinois, New York, New Jersey. But what is happening is, as these corporate headquarters are moving, these corporations are moving, these businesses are moving here, they're not talking to the employees. And neither are we. You know what today is? No, I already told you.
Yeah.
Today is the 184th anniversary of the letter written by Lieutenant Colonel William Barrett Travers from the Alamo. And see, the fact that we are not understanding of that history of Texas, then do you think that the people that are moving here are understanding of that history? Do you think that there are people that will realize that next Monday is Texas Independence Day? Do you think that people understand what March the 6th is? That's the day that the Alamo fell. Do you think that people understand what April the 21st of 1836 was? The day that Sam Houston and those ragtag Texians whipped Santa Ana and San Jacinto in 18 minutes. See, that's the problem. If we're not engaging people that are moving into our communities, you see it happen here in Waco and in McLennan County, thanks to Chip and Joanna, and that show that they keep running all over the place, and everyone wants to come out here to Waco. If we're not engaging individuals and telling them about how special Texas is, telling them why. There's only one state flag in the United States of America that flies at the same height as the American flag. And that's the Texas flag. You've got to meet people and engage with them along this very important corridor. Because think about this, folks. When you get 50 or 60 miles on the either side of I-35, what happens? Population drops off. And they know that. That's why they focus on those major population centers. That's how they flipped Virginia. Virginia has 95 counties. 91 out of 95 counties in the state of Virginia have declared themselves sanctuary counties for the Second Amendment. What does that tell you? 4 counties. 4 counties control an entire state. They gave us our first president, our third president, the author of the Declaration of Independence, our 5th president, the author of the United States Constitution. 4 counties control it. See, that's why some people believe that we should have an electoral college at the state level. Because 4 counties have rendered the other 91 irrelevant. And what can happen here in the state of Texas, which has 254 counties? All of a sudden, 8 or 9 counties will render all the rest irrelevant because of the major population centers that you have here. So this is what we must do. We've got to go in behind the enemy lines. That's what paratroopers do. They jump in behind enemy lines. And we have to take that message to get people to understand, why do you have growth, opportunity, and prosperity here in Texas, unlike the place that you left? Some people will say that you have to raise taxes in order to have economic prosperity and opportunity. California has the highest state income tax in the nation at 13%. California also has the highest poverty level in the United States of America at 20%. And I'm sure that doesn't include the illegals, and that does not include the homeless. But that's their recipe. Everything is about raising taxes, because everything is supposed to be given to everyone free, because it's all about the dependency society. And how is it that we would allow a mentality such as that to be in the state of Texas? Bernie Sanders has already said by 2025 he wants to outlaw, get rid of hydraulic fracturing. See what I'm saying? How stupid is that? So in other words, the United States of America is energy independent for the first time ever, a net exporter of its oil and gas resources. That's not because Jimmy Carter created the Department of Energy back in the late 1970s. It's because of a president that came in the last 3 years that unleashed the oil and gas industry. And that incredible entrepreneurial spirit, that indomitable ingenuity. But now these people want us to go back and be slaves to OPEC because of their ideological agenda. But yet you have people that believe that. Texas is the #1 state in the United States of America for human and sex trafficking. Dallas and Houston are the top 2 cities in the #1 state in the United States of America for human and sex trafficking. Yet here are people that are saying they're going to run anti-gun candidates in the same cities that are the top cities for human and sex trafficking. Here are the people that believe in open borders. Here are the people that believe in decriminalizing the illegal crossing of our border. You see, we have all of the right principles, values, policies, and issues on our side. But for whatever reason, we're not articulating it. There should be billboards, and I'll tell you, that's one of the things that I will do. I want to raise money and put billboards all down I-35, 45, I-10, all over the place. And I'm going to ask folks 2 questions. Welcome to Texas. Why are you here? And second question. Welcome to Texas. Why did you leave where you were? If we don't start asking those pertinent questions, when those U-Haul vans pull up in our communities, then the next thing you know, they don't know what February 24th is in the great state of Texas, or March the 2nd, or March the 6th, or April the 21st, because we're not engaging. But not just the people that are new coming in here to Texas, we also have to engage the minority communities. Yesterday was Sunday. The most conservative people, and I will always say this, and I've never had anyone challenge me, the most conservative people in the United States of America on Sunday are Black and Hispanic.
Mm-hmm. On Sunday.
On Sunday. Because salvation is an individual thing. Salvation is not a collective responsibility. John can't pray me into heaven, and I can't pray John into heaven. We can't do the little group hug and group thing to make it all happen, okay? It's an individual decision that you have to make. When you see people in churches, they're talking about the victory of believing in the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. But then something happens Monday through Saturday. They don't believe in being a victor, they become a victim. And you look at where you see the greatest amount of failure of the policies of the left is in the urban centers. I always tell people, you know, my background. February 7, 1961 was the day I was born. I was born in a blacks-only hospital in the inner city of Atlanta, Georgia. But when I was born in 1961, the two-parent household in the black community was 77%. You did not see little black kids that didn't have mommy and daddy in the house. If you did, it was like, oh, something's not right there. You know, my dad and my mom, they owned their home. And I remember when my dad paid it off. If you saw a kid that was living in Section 8 housing, oh man, he was the brunt of every single joke you can imagine. But what has happened in those inner city communities is that which was the exception has now become the norm. And so now you only have 24% of black children that have a mother and father in the home. And think about that headquarters that's down there in Houston on I-45, South Side, 7-story building. At the top it reads Planned Parenthood, an organization that was founded by white supremacists and racists. 71% of Planned Parenthood clinics located in black communities. Since Roe v. Wade, 20 million black babies murdered in the womb. Here in McLennan County, we should be taking that message to these pastors. They're saying, come on, pastor. Why are you aligning yourself with these people that they don't share your principles and values? Family values, Judeo-Christian faith heritage. Obviously, you did not hear about what the former mayor of Houston, Annise Parker, said. She subpoenaed the pastors for their sermons. These were minority pastors that she went after. Or how about Robert Francis O'Rourke when he said that if churches don't embrace the same-sex marriage value, then they should lose their tax-exempt status. What a great opportunity that we missed to engage with black and Hispanic pastors and say, hey, come on. We'll welcome you here. And we'll support you in your pulpit. Well, you know, we kind of can't be political. You know, we got that Johnson Amendment thing. Well, you know where the Johnson Amendment came from? Lyndon Baines Johnson, when he was a senator from Texas, because he did not want black pastors talking about the civil rights movement from the pulpit. And so he created an amendment that is now law that precluded them from speaking. The Civil Rights Act did not pass because of Democrats. It passed because of Senate Republicans, led by Everett Dirksen. The 1965 Great Society programs began the decimation of the inner city communities. All of these things, those are issues that we own. When President Trump stood up and recognized a 100-year-old Tuskegee Airman that he had just recently promoted to Brigadier General, what were the faces of the people on the other side of the aisle?
Yeah, isn't that terrible?
It's horrible. When President Trump recognized a 9-year-old girl from the inner city of Philadelphia who had been relegated to a failed public school that her single black mother just wanted to get her out of. And on the spot, before the entire world, he offered her an opportunity scholarship. What did you see on the faces of the other side?
Terrible.
But yet we can't pass school choice in the state of Texas when we have a supermajority in the House, the Senate, and a Republican governor. This is what we have to fight for. And I believe that we can do it. We have got to make sure that we hold all of these incredible rural areas that we have all across the state of Texas. We got to make sure that we hold on to counties like McLennan County. But then we've got to figure out the battlefield calculus. This is this PhD level stuff. How do we go into these precincts in Dallas, in Houston, in Austin, in San Antonio, in El Paso, and how do we start picking off people there? How do we put them on defense? See, we should not be talking about how we keep Texas red. You know what we really should be talking about? Making them defend and define what does turn Texas blue mean. Because they just throw it out there. And no one ever challenges them. It sounds real cool. We're going to turn Texas into a different color. But what does that color represent? Last time I checked, blue means you're pretty sad. And if you turn Texas blue, it will be sad. Because all the growth, the opportunity, the prosperity, everything that Texas represents will be gone. And that little young man right there, Dawson, right?
Yes, sir.
See, the measure of who we are and what we do and what we accomplish in life, John, it's not that we're here today. It's whether or not Dawson is here as the McLennan County chairman.
That's right.
And they're still meeting. Or Dawson or someone like you, Janet, is over in Bosque County and they're still meeting. That's our challenge. And if we don't step up to that challenge in this 2020, what I call the year of clear vision, 2020, then we have done a disservice to young Dawson and all of our children and grandchildren. I'm just a fighter. And if you think about the history of Texas, there are a lot of folks that were born and raised over in Georgia that came here. There are a lot of folks from Tennessee that came here. As a matter of fact, Jim Bowie was originally from Georgia. He came here through Missouri. You know about David Crockett, Sam Houston. Mirabel Lamar was born and raised in Georgia. Because there's something about the Lone Star State. There's something about that Lone Star that draws men and women to it to fight for liberty and for freedom and individual sovereignty. No different from Santa Anna invading 184 years ago. We have an invasion going on right now. And we can whip them.
That's right.
Just like they did in 18 minutes at San Jacinto.
Yes, sir.
But we got to come together. We got to stop the circular firing squad. And we got to understand we got this opportunity to crush progressive socialism. It's never been done. Oregon didn't do it. Washington State didn't do it. Nevada didn't do it. Arizona hasn't done it. Colorado failed. Arizona failed. Virginia has failed. I say right here in Texas, we hand them a defeat in November of 2020. It sends a clear message.